Welcome to Whimsy on the Mat. A few years ago, I conceptualized 12 embodiments of yoga, and these are attitudes and qualities that help us experience the essence of yoga, the yoking of mind, body, breath, and spirit. And one of those embodiments was in my imagination, whimsy. It's the ability to be whimsical, to see a moment as it is, and also to reimagine it from as many different perspectives as possible. I'm reminded of the poet William Blake, who says that we could see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, to hold infinity in the palm of our hand, and eternity in an hour. Now, that poem was not about whimsy, it was about something else, but that passage really does reflect and express the ultimate mindset of a yogi, which is to be fully present, to pour our awareness into what's real right now, to take the actions absolutely required and necessary to process and deal with that moment. And at the same time, to find ways to shift our view just a little bit this way or just a little bit that way so that we can see it in a new light. It's like the child who is afraid of the monster under the bed. We don't deny that child's fear. It's real. The child is scared. And at the same time, we gently encourage the child to consider, what if that monster is just a lonely soul wandering around looking for company, and he thought it would be warm in our home under your bed, like Frankenstein's monster? And so, again, simultaneously acknowledging the fear, acknowledging the reality, doing what we need to do as a parent to tend to the child's fear, and also to help ease the perspective a little more broadly, a little more widely, to say we could imagine what's also here. The practice this morning in that light, in that service of whimsy, is a fairly unstructured approach to the body. So we will take a shape like a grain of sand, and we'll acknowledge that it is a shape. It has structure and definition. And then, in William Blake's words, we will see the world in it. We will pour the universe through it. We will open up to the porous nature of our beings to really feel the ultimate potential of who we are. We'll reimagine each shape. We'll linger there just long enough to feel the largeness of our spirit, the freedom of our breath, and the ability of our body to shape and reshape itself over and over again. So let's begin. You'll want to come to your mat and sit comfortably. I'm going to use a blanket just to lift the platform of the ground a little bit higher, which gives the hips a little more ease and the spine a little more buoyancy. And so if you'll just take a few breaths and feel the waves of being moving through you. Feel the swelling of the inhale and the soft release of the exhale. The rise of the breath as it comes in, and the fall of the breath as it goes back out. Imagine that the tides are cresting inside you at the top of each inhale. And then the tide recedes at the base of every exhale. Tuning into the majesty of this this wave of life force that keeps our hearts beating and our lungs processing. And just trusting for the moment, the only moment that we really know right now, trusting we are safe. We are well. We are together. Just a few more beats of breath. And then gently drop your chin to your chest and lift your heart up toward your chin. And take your chin and swing it like a pendulum really gently over toward one shoulder. And then really gently over to the other shoulder. So there's no sudden movement in the neck. The cervical spine is happier when we are gentle with it. Just swinging the chin like a gently moving, heavy pendulum. And then if the pendulum was tracing this semicircle from shoulder to shoulder, let's draw the top half of that semicircle up and over. A long, graceful, tall arc. Up and over, chin to shoulder. And notice the chin doesn't have to touch the shoulder. In fact, if I wanted mine to touch it, it wouldn't. I would have to hunch up my shoulder to make that happen. So shoulders are relaxed. And the chin is just rising up against gravity and then surrendering down along with it. And one more time over to the other shoulder. And then pause. And with ease and care, bring the head back to neutral. And now switch the way your legs are crossed. And inhale and reach your arms up nice and tall. And then exhale and drop them down. And inhale them up again, nice and tall, buoyant, alive with ease. And exhale, drop the arms down. Safely, naturally, coasting down with gravity. One more time, reach up eagerly, lifting through the pinkies and the elbows, and then exhale, floating back down. And now leave one hand where it is, off to the side, fingertips lightly touching the floor. And take your other arm and sweep it across the front of your body over to the other side. And if you lean a little bit and notice that the sitting bone comes off the floor and the leg lifts a little bit, that's fine, that's great. Let that happen. And then take this same arm and reach it up and over. And then do that with the same side arm a few more times. So first, you're acknowledging that your arm is moving in circles. And then soften into that feeling and pour some wider awareness into it. So that maybe this arm becomes a magic wand that waves away all of your concerns just for the moment, knowing that the concerns are real, and also knowing that we don't know what's on the other side of those concerns. We can't see as far as we would like to. One more time with this same arm, reaching across, reaching up, and then sweeping over. And now we're gonna switch arms. So this hand will rest, fingertips lightly on the floor, and the other arm sweeping across the body, over to the other side as far as you feel like reaching, and then bringing it up like you're raising a curtain in front of the face, and then back down to the other side and sweep it around. And reach up and tune into your breath. If it feels like a deeper breath is going to be valuable right now, then slurp in that long, slow inhale, and then let it fall away with ease. If it feels like a shorter breath with a quicker pace would be useful, breathe that way. And bring a whimsical nature to the way the arm is moving. And maybe you have other imagery that serves this flow well. So let your mind wander into the space of creativity. And then come back to center, letting both fingertips rest on the ground. And pause. And take another beat of breath. And then with your hands on your knees, make a whirlpool movement with your torso, initially keeping the spine nice and long and not bending at the waist. So from the crown to the tail, from the top to the base, is one long extended vertical column that you're swirling around. And maybe the swirling action brings up imagery for you that's interesting or creative or whimsical. And then switch the direction of the swirls. Let the whirlpool reverse. One or two more times with the spine nice and straight. And then let the waist get into it. So let the spine undulate into flexion and extension, arching forward and rounding back. So now the whirlpool has shifted and other forces are coming into play. And see what that feels like. Does it change the approach of whimsy? Does it create some other imagery in your mind? In Blake's words, are you experiencing some sort of bright, heavenly sense of a wildflower blooming in this freedom of movement? Now switch the direction and continuing to arch and extend and round and flex. Maybe you want to do something other with your hands. Instead of having them on your knees, maybe you want to have them closer to your ankles, on your shins, or maybe you want your hands behind you. Whatever feels supportive, whatever feels right in the moment. A few more swirly rounds. And then come to center and pause and breathe. And now lift your knees up and step your feet so they're next to each other. They can be any distance away from your hips. And you can sit up higher on your platform of blanket. Maybe you want to remove the blanket, test it out, play around. Give yourself permission and freedom. And now I'm going to turn to the side and you can stay where you are. Now we'll do a little rounding here and arching. And sometimes you might feel a little more control if you hold behind the knees to bring the arch of the spine forward. Lift your chest, lift your gaze. And exhale, shifting back into the rounded position. Back and forth a few times. Let the rhythm of your breath dictate the rhythm of movement. And then come back to center, to nice and tall seat with the spine. And now for this portion, I'm going to remove my blanket. You can do what's comfortable for you. And take your legs straight out in front of you. And then just tap your legs on the ground. A little tap, 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 bending the knees, straighten, letting the weight of the legs flop to the floor. And then separate your feet a little bit and just twirl them around. And with your heels dug into the floor, you might be creating a little momentum and traction for your upper body to shift. You might feel the base of your seat shifting forward and back and around, and you can let your torso get into the fun of the circles. And then switch and take the feet in the other direction. And then tap it out with the legs. Wiggle your toes. Spread them apart wide as you can. So now, take both knees to bend. And the same side arm and leg are going to straighten out on an inhale. So the arm will go up and the leg will go out. That's the inhale. And then the exhale is to turn towards your open side. And so here's the shape. Here's the grain of sand. And now here comes the whimsy. So you can round and shift just like we've been doing. You can arch and tuck. You can lean back. You can lift up with the other arm. You can sit up tall and just focus on the twist to your open side. You can do what you're called to do. Tune in to that voice of wisdom and guidance that's inside. Listen keenly to it. It is wise. And then sit up tall. And then inhale the arm up again. And then bend the knee and switch sides. I'm going to turn around. You don't have to. So the inhale reaches the arm up and straightens the leg out. The exhale twists you to the open side. And now set it free. Be whimsical about the movement. Shift around. Explore the corners of the outline of your body. Remember over and over that we are porous beings. And on one hand, that can get us into trouble. That's how, for example, a virus gets in. But at the same time, our porous nature allows us to be shaping and reshaping ourselves all the time, which is how we get healthy after illness. Rounding back, arching forward, twisting a little deeper, sitting a little taller, leaning back a little further. All of this is good. The body loves this patient attention. And then sit tall. Inhale, reach the arm up, and exhale, hold the knee. I'm going to turn, no, I'm not. I'm going to stay where I am. This time, bend both knees and take your opposite hand across to one knee. And now our twist is going to go to the closed side. So just notice that there's no There's no destination for the twist. You go as far as your body wants you to go. So you inhale now and straighten the opposite leg, and exhale and turn towards your bent knee. And now set the twist free, round, circle. So you see we're operating within the confines of a prescribed shape. Just like we are operating in life within the confines of what the circumstances are dictating. But within those confines, we have so much freedom. We have so many options. And we can be whimsical about the way we choose to exercise those options. Lean back, sit up tall, lift the chest. Do anything that feels interesting. Do the things that feel whimsical. And then pause and inhale, reach the arm up. And release and face forward again. And now, I'm going to turn around. You don't have to. Take your hand to the opposite knee. Inhale, straighten the leg. And exhale. And twist towards your bent knee. And around, and arch, and turn to one side and turn to the other side. Your body will tell you if where you're going is in a good place. Your ego is not so reliable, so don't listen to her. Listen to deep inner cues that have no concept of right or wrong, that no concept of perfection, just a concept of ease. Swirl around, maybe lean back, maybe lean side to side, and it doesn't have to be the same on each side. It can't be the same on each side. Our bodies are not the same on each side. And that's another example of things look the way they look from the outside, but when you zoom in, when you get closer, you find out otherwise. So pause here, sitting up tall. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, turn, and then bend both knees. And then just sitting with both knees bent, holding the kneecaps or holding behind the knees. Again, lean back, exhale, sit up tall, inhale, swirl around a couple of times in each direction. And then come around onto your hands and knees. So we call this table pose, knees under the hips, wrists under the shoulders. And circle the hips around and around. And let the spine undulate with those circles. You can take the hips as far back toward the heels in the circuit as you want to, and you can take them as far forward toward the wrists as you want to. So the prescribed shape is simply that you're on your hands and knees. And then the whimsical freedom within that shape can be unfolded if your consciousness allows you to do so. And then pause and come forward a little closer to the wrists and then back a little closer to the heels. So now it's just a straight line forward and back with the pelvis. But even within that straight line, there's freedom. So you can wiggle a little bit from side to side as you move. And you can let the hips come a little closer to the floor, lifting the shoulders, lifting the heart forward and back. So back and forth. Long, slow, full breaths. And now pause for a moment with the hips relatively stable over the knees, the shoulders relatively vertical over the wrists. And then take your one knee and shin and skate the and then pause here. So you can make adjustments with the legs. You can take the back leg and bend it more, or you can open it a little straighter. And you can take the front knee and bend it nice and tightly in, or you can open it nice and wide. And now lean out over your front thigh, and then come back up. And then turn a little bit into a twist across the thigh and lean forward and come back up. And now turn a little bit more toward the open space between and lean forward and come back up. And then just continue in that same pattern, but within that pattern, look for ways to make it your own. One option would be to put a little action in the back leg and straighten it up and out, and then pivot on the heel as you come forward and lean into the center. Another option would be to bend the knees in nice and tight and take deep folds forward to the center, over toward the knee, and then back and deep into the twist. You can change it around each time. And now pause while you're here and take the leg that's behind you carefully with the ankle flexed so we protect the knee. Lift up the knee and then straighten the leg out. And now you've got one knee bent, the same bent knee that was in front, and one leg straight, slightly out to the side. And now, again, inhale. I like to have my hands behind me to get a little extra leverage in the lifting spine. And on the exhale, bow forward between the two thighs. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, turn toward the straight leg and bend over a little bit. Lead with the belly button. Keep the heart lifted and open and back up. And now turning toward the bent knee. Lean over. If the sitting bone of the straight leg comes up, which it likely will, let that happen. Bowing down and rising up. A couple more times in each of the three positions. And within these prescribed shapes and movements, their freedom abounds. All right. Pause. And then take the straight leg and make it your back leg again. And we're going to come up into table pose from here. So palms to the ground, lift the hip, slide the leg back. And now we'll do the other leg. I'll turn around. You don't have to. So with the new front leg, skate the shin forward and then topple over onto your hip. And then lift up the heart. And on an exhale, bow down through the center and rise up and bow down over the straight thigh and rise up and turn a little bit back and forth. Make any adjustments that make sense for you. You can straighten the back leg if you choose to. Pivot on the heel and lean over that way. Any amount of movement is good. Any amount of breath is good, based on your current moment need and whimsy. And now take the leg that's behind you, flex the ankle to protect the knee, lift the knee, and extend the leg out straight in front of you, keeping the other knee bent as it is. And then lean down through center. And then inhale, rise up. And turn toward the straight leg. And lean over. And rise up. And turn toward the bent knee. And bow down. And float back upright. Couple more times in each position. And when you're satisfied, come back up. Sit tall, bring the knees wide and the soles of your feet together, and you can have your heels any distance away from your pelvis. Any distance away is appropriate. And now, rocking side to side. Side to side. And perhaps around and around. And perhaps the spine undulates here, rounding, arching, leaning laterally left and right. As long as the body is safe and out of pain, the breath doesn't care which way you move, how far you fold, how flexible your spine is. The breath doesn't care. It's only the ego that cares, as long as you're staying out of the realm of pain. Reverse the circles if you're circling around. We'll just do a couple more here. And then switch gears again onto hands and knees. So bring the knees back together and then swing them behind you. Come onto your hands and knees and drop the hips as if to go back to child's pose, but keep the heart lifted. Keep the head up, looking forward. I call this the curious child, not quite ready to settle in to quiet. So now walking sideways, keeping the hips dropping as close to the heels as possible, walk sideways. And now take the arm that's closer to the front and open it up and circle it back and around 2 or 3 more times. Breathing all the way through. And then pause and walk around to the other side. And another circuit with the second arm, all the way around. Breathing in, breathing out. A joyful, whimsical sweep of an arm. And then back to center. And now sit up tall and find your way onto your back with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. You can hold onto your kneecaps and roll back onto your spine, and then separate your legs as wide as your mat. And heel toe your feet together to one side. Heel toe to the left, heel toe to the right, all the way around, creeping side to side. Breathing in, breathing out. And then pause at center. And pull the knees into the chest and make some circles around the lower back. Circling around the edges of the sacrum. Switch the direction. Hold onto one knee and then straighten the other leg out on the ground. And then straighten up the bent knee toward the ceiling. And take this straight lifted leg and drop it across your body into a twist. And now take the arm that belongs to the side of the crossed over leg and reach it backwards so that your arm and your leg make one straight line across. And then take the remaining arm and reach it behind you so that you have 4 limbs reaching in 4 different directions. We call this morning star pose or starfish. Reach eagerly out through each limb, through all the fingers and all the toes, through each heel and the palm of each hand. And then just gently turn your head from side to side. And once you've defined the shape of the body in this position, let your mind consider that you really are a starfish on a beach. And the sun is warm, the sand is soft, the waves are lapping, and all is well. And you're just one speck of the universe, one grain of sand, in an entirety that we can't possibly know or understand. And then gather up your limbs. Bend the crossed over leg, bring it back up to center. Pull both knees into the chest, circle them around a few times, each direction. And then straighten out the other leg to the floor. And this new leg coming up. Cross it over to twist, over to the other side. Extend an arm to join that line across your body. And then reach the other limb behind you. 4 limbs in 4 directions. A starfish on the beach. And then turn your head gently side to side. Easy in the neck. Slow in the breath. Peaceful and compassionate in the heart. Long, easy inhales, and the sweet release of a full, unencumbered exhale. One more eager reach through all 4 limbs, all fingers and toes. And then gather it all up. Pull both knees to your chest. Circle them around. Circle the other way. And then gently bring your feet back to the floor. And open up the knees wide apart. If you've got some blocks or blankets or pillows handy and you want to prop up your thighs, you can do that. And reach your arms behind your head and make a halo over your head so you could hold your elbows or your wrists or maybe your fingers. And just pause here for a few breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. Acknowledging the contours of your body in this defined shape. And also acknowledging all of the potential that this porous and whimsical nature of our beings has. The potential of our porous and whimsical beings. That's what we're breathing in and breathing out. And then release the arms back down by your sides, and you can use your hands to draw your knees together and straighten your legs out on the ground. And with your hands anywhere they're comfortable, on your belly, on your heart, down by your sides, just pause here as we relax, as we rest. Close your eyes, trace your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Stay there for a little while longer. It's the best part. Every time a thought arises, acknowledge the truth of that thought. And if it's a troubling one, acknowledge it as you would a fearful child. Hold it close for a moment, reassure it, and then consider the other possibilities inherent in that thought. Consider what you haven't considered. See what you don't think you can see. Breathe in and breathe out. And then take one long, slow breath and let it go. And gently wiggle your fingers and your toes and your wrists and ankles. Bend your knees and roll onto your side. Bring yourself up nice and slowly with ease. And sit tall, comfortably. Close your eyes for another breath, another moment. Take into consideration all of your own present moment concerns. Regard them as true and valid, and then turn your perspective in another direction. And regard the possibilities around those concerns. Bring to mind the concerns of others around you, near and far, known and unknown. Offer comfort and ease as you would a small, fearful child. And then offer the possibilities of light and ease and a different way of seeing things. And then gently bring your hands together at your heart. And release your head down towards your heart as you keep the heart itself uplifted and open. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. Thank you so much for joining today. I wish you all well and love.